In the early morning hours of June 30th, 1908, something catastrophic exploded over the Siberian Taiga. 800 square miles of forest flattened. Reindeer herds incinerated. The sky itself seemed to catch fire. The official explanation is well known, a meteor airburst. But there is another theory, one that involves a brilliant inventor, a secret weapon, and a misfired experiment that shook the world. Nikola Tesla, the man who harnessed electricity, the inventor who claimed he could split the earth with a single pulse. Some say his experiments went too far, and the Tunguska Event was the result. Was Tesla's legendary death ray not science fiction but fact? Did his wireless energy experiments accidentally devastate a remote corner of Russia? And if so, why has the world forgotten?
Welcome to Unexplained History. I'm your host, Tom McKenzie, and in this episode, we're investigating one of the most intriguing conspiracy theories in modern history. The Tesla-Tunguska connection, a theory that has persisted for decades despite official denial. Let's dig in.
To understand this theory, we need to understand Tesla. By 1908, he was already legendary, the inventor of alternating current, the man who lit the world's fair, the genius who dreamed of wireless energy for everyone. But Tesla had another project, one he spoke of only in whispers. He called it his teleforce. The media would call it the death ray. In 1934, Tesla would describe it publicly, a device that could generate an intense beam of particles that could bring down entire armies, a weapon of unprecedented power. But that was 1934. In 1908, Tesla was already experimenting with high-energy transmission. At Long Island, New York, he was building something extraordinary. Tesla was unlike any inventor of his era. He claimed to receive visions from another world. He spoke of beings from Venus. He described technologies that seemed impossible. By 1908, he was already fighting for his legacy. His alternating current had won the war of currents, but his wireless ambitions were failing. J.P. Morgan, his chief investor, had withdrawn support. The Wardenclyffe Tower was incomplete. Tesla was desperate for a breakthrough. In this context, say theorists, Tesla might have taken risks, tested technologies he didn't fully understand, pushed beyond safe limits. The tower at Long Island was designed to transmit messages, but Tesla spoke of something more: energy itself transmitted through the air without wires. What if it worked? What if the energy built and built until it found a release? What if that release was Siberia?
The Wardenclyffe Tower. Tesla's dream of wireless energy transmission. It was never completed. But what if it worked? What if it worked too well?
The tower was designed to transmit messages across the Atlantic, but Tesla had bigger ambitions. He wanted to transmit power wireless energy that could light cities without wires. Some researchers suggest the tower was a front for something else, a weapon, a way to transmit destructive energy across vast distances, a death ray capable of reaching anywhere on Earth. Tesla was born in 1856, in what is now Croatia. He was a brilliant student, capable of complex calculations in his head. By the 1813's November Segundos, he had moved to Moscow and then to New York, where he became a celebrity inventor. His alternating current system had won the war of currents against Thomas Edison. He was wealthier than presidents. But his greatest ambition was yet to come: wireless transmission of power worldwide without cables or wires. The Wardenclyffe Tower was his attempt to achieve this, a structure 187 feet tall. In 1908, the world was a different place. Electric lights were still a novelty in most homes. The automobile was a curiosity. Flight had not yet been achieved. And yet, in a small laboratory on Long Island, a man was dreaming of impossible things: wireless power, death rays, energy that could circle the globe. Nikola Tesla was not like other inventors. He claimed to receive visions from another world. He described beings from the planet Venus who visited him in his dreams. Whether these visions were real or metaphorical, no one can say, but they drove him to envision technologies far beyond his time. The Wardenclyffe Tower was his masterpiece, a structure designed not just to transmit messages, but to transmit energy itself. Imagine a world where electricity flowed through the air, where no wires were needed, where power was free and unlimited. This was Tesla's dream, and in 1908 he was close to achieving it, or so he believed. The tower stood 187 feet tall. It was the tallest structure in the United States at the time of its completion. But funding was running out. J.P. Morgan had pulled his support. The dream was dying, and Tesla needed a breakthrough. Some say he took a desperate gamble, a test of his most powerful technology, a demonstration that would prove his genius to the world. What happened next would become one of history's greatest mysteries, and the ripples of that event are still felt today. The story of Tesla and Tunguska is more than a conspiracy theory. It's a window into how we process the inexplicable. It's a story about genius and hubris, about what we want to believe and why, about the line between fact and fiction. The theory goes like this. In early 1908, Tesla conducted an experiment. He aimed his device toward the Arctic, or perhaps directly at the Russian wilderness. Something went wrong. The energy discharge, this theory suggests, was far more powerful than intended. A beam of pure energy, miles wide, striking the atmosphere with a force of 15 megatons of TNT. The timing is intriguing. Tesla's funding was running out. His investors were growing impatient. He needed a breakthrough. He needed to prove his wireless transmission worked. Some suggest Tesla deliberately targeted a remote area to test his device. Others propose it was an accident, a miscalculation of unprecedented power. The evidence, according to believers, is compelling. Why has no crater been found? A meteor would leave debris, a controlled energy discharge might not. The trees were flattened in a perfect radial pattern, pointing away from a central point. Exactly what you would expect from an aerial explosion. But what kind of explosion? And why was there no investigation? The Russian Empire, supposedly aware of the event, never sent scientists to examine the site for nearly 20 years. Was the silence because they found something they didn't want to share? Something that pointed to a man-made disaster rather than a natural one?
It's a compelling theory. But is there any real evidence? Let's examine what supporters claim points to Tesla.
The most cited piece of evidence is timing. Tesla was actively conducting experiments in 1908. His wireless transmission technology was advancing rapidly. The location, too, seemed suspicious. Siberia was not entirely remote. Russian authorities knew something had happened. Why no immediate investigation? The theory gained traction in the 1980s and 90s, coinciding with renewed interest in Tesla and the rise of internet forums. Before that, it was a minor fringe idea, discussed in small circles of Tesla enthusiasts and conspiracy researchers. The end of the Cold War brought a surge of interest in secret weapons, hidden technologies, and government cover-ups. Tesla fit perfectly into this narrative, a brilliant inventor, suppressed by established powers, whose secrets were hidden from the public. The internet amplified these ideas. Forums, blogs, and early websites spread the theory to millions. The theory didn't emerge all at once. It developed over decades, accumulating details and proponents like a snowball rolling downhill. In the early years, it was a fringe idea, discussed in obscure newsletters and small gatherings of Tesla enthusiasts. The man often credited with popularizing the theory is a writer named John Oliver. His book, published in the 1980s, brought the idea to a wider audience. John Oliver argued that Tesla had developed a weapon of unprecedented power, that the government had covered up the truth, that the official explanation was a lie. His book sparked a movement. Suddenly, the Tesla-Tunguska connection was everywhere, in magazines, in documentaries, in the growing world of online forums. The timing was significant. The 1980s and 1990s were a time of renewed interest in conspiracies, secret weapons, and hidden histories. The Cold War had created an appetite for stories about secret technologies. Area 51, government cover-ups, hidden weapons. Tesla fit perfectly into this narrative. He was already legendary. He had claimed to build death rays. The connection seemed inevitable. The internet accelerated everything. Forums, blogs, early websites spread the theory to millions. Each retelling added new details. Some of these details were true, others were fabrications, and increasingly it became impossible to tell the difference. This is how conspiracy theories grow, not through evidence, but through narrative, through the human desire for dramatic explanations. The theory also gained from Tesla's growing cult of personality. In recent decades, Tesla has become almost a religious figure to some. He is seen as a prophet, a genius suppressed by established powers, a man whose discoveries were stolen or hidden. In this narrative, the Tunguska Event becomes proof of Tesla's genius. Even his failures were world-changing. Let's return to that morning in Siberia. The witnesses who survived described something extraordinary. Fire in the sky, a column of light, a sound like the world ending. But here's what they didn't describe: a meteor. They described something else entirely, something that moved with purpose, something that seemed almost controlled. The Evenki people, indigenous reindeer herders of the region, had their own names for such things. Fire eagles, they called them. Spirits of the sky. Modern researchers who believe in the Tesla theory point to the descriptions: the blue-white light, the direction of the blast, the complete absence of debris. Meteors burn as they enter the atmosphere. They leave trails. They sometimes fragment. But this event was different. It was as if the energy came from within the atmosphere itself. What if it wasn't a rock falling from space? What if it was energy being transmitted through space, from one point on Earth to another. The witnesses spoke of multiple explosions, not the typical pattern of a single impact, more like a cascading discharge, energy that built and built before detonating. This detail, say believers, is consistent with an electrical discharge, a massive release of energy, exactly what Tesla's device might produce.
The accounts are certainly intriguing, but we need to remember, this is a theory that has captured the imagination of many. But what does the evidence actually show?
The theory gained renewed attention in the 1980s during the Cold War. With nuclear weapons in the headlines, the idea of a death ray seemed more plausible. Books and documentaries explored the possibility. Each time they found new evidence to support the theory, or at least new questions that seemed difficult to answer. One witness, whose account was recorded decades later, described the sky turning the color of blood. Not white, not orange. Blood red. The heat was intense enough to melt the snow even in June. Herders nearby reported their faces feeling burned. The reindeer, hundreds of them, simply vanished. Not burned, not injured, gone, as if they had never existed. Some survivors developed mysterious illnesses in the weeks following: hair loss, skin lesions, persistent fatigue. Doctors called it radiation sickness, but there was no radioactive material at the site, or was there? The Evenki shaman Korok told his grandchildren that the fire came from the mountain god's spear. They called it the day the sky fell, the day the spirits showed their power, the day the world changed. These oral histories, passed down through generations, form part of the human record of the event. The witnesses to the Tunguska event were few, but their accounts are haunting. They described a morning that turned to night. In the village of Selenga, a woman named Maria told her children to kneel and pray. She believed the end of the world had come. The sky was not just bright, she said. It was as if the sun itself had fallen, as if a new star had been born and died in an instant. The heat was instantaneous. In the seconds before the blast, temperatures jumped by hundreds of degrees. Herders felt their faces burn. Snow melted in an instant. Even at distance, the thermal pulse was devastating. Then came the sound. Not a bang, but a roar. A rolling, rumbling sound that seemed to last forever. Windows shattered 60 miles away. In Vanavor, shopkeepers ran outside to see what was happening. In Krasnoyarsk, 300 miles south, officials recorded the event as a potential earthquake. What they didn't know was that they were witnessing something unprecedented, the largest impact event in recorded history. Eventually, people had their own interpretations. Their shamans spoke of the sky being torn open by angry spirits. They called it Anak, the Great Fire, and they warned their children never to approach the place where it happened. This oral history, passed down through generations, is part of what makes the Tunguska event so compelling. It is not just a scientific puzzle. It is a human story, a moment when the world changed, seen through human eyes. When scientists finally did investigate Tunguska, what did they find? And why did it take so long? The first expedition arrived in 1927, led by Leonid Kulik. He mapped the destruction. 800 square miles, 2 million trees flattened in a radial pattern. But Kulik found no crater, no impact site, no fragments of any object, just marshy ground and burned trees. This, say Tesla theorists, is the key evidence. Where is the meteor? Where are the fragments? A 15-megaton explosion should leave something behind. The absence of debris is used as proof that it wasn't a natural object. Instead, they argue it was an energy discharge, something Tesla's technology could produce. Kulik himself was puzzled. He searched for fragments for years. He found only tiny glassy spheres, tektites, too small to represent the object that caused the blast. The lack of a clear explanation left room for speculation, and speculation flourished. Soviet scientists who followed Kulik found traces of iridium and other elements. These were interpreted by some as evidence of extraterrestrial origin. But iridium is found in meteors, not in Tesla's equipment. This evidence, say skeptics, points away from the conspiracy theory.
As with all conspiracy theories, there are pieces that seem to support it, but we need to examine the broader picture.
The Tesla-Tunguska theory has another problem. Tesla himself. Did he ever claim responsibility? Did he ever acknowledge causing the blast? The Soviet expeditions found something else. The trees at Ground Zero were not just burned, they were crystallized. The wood had transformed into a glassy black substance, something that happens only under extreme heat and pressure. This vitrification, as it's called, requires temperatures exceeding 2,000 degrees. The kind of heat produced by what exactly? Meteor airbursts can produce it, but so can certain kinds of energy discharge. The debate continues. Soviet scientists under Leonid Kulik's direction documented everything. Their notebooks remain, a treasure trove of data. The radial pattern of destruction is the most distinctive feature. Every tree pointed away from a central point. This is exactly what you would expect from an airburst, whether caused by a meteor or an energy weapon. The challenge is determining which type of event produced that pattern. Both can create radial destruction. When Leonid Kulik finally reached the blast zone in 1927, he found something that defied easy explanation. 800 square miles of forest, flattened, trees pointed away from a central point like spokes on a wheel. At Ground Zero, the destruction was most intense. Trees were not just fallen. They were stripped of branches, bark, everything. The wood was blackened, burned, but not by fire, by something else, something more intense. Kulik found glassy spheres embedded in the trees. These tektites, as they're called, form when rock is melted by extreme heat. But the spheres were tiny, not nearly enough to represent a mountain-sized object. Where was the rest of it? Kulik drilled deep into the marshy ground at Ground Zero. He found only peat and permafrost. No crater, no impact scar. This absence of a crater became the centerpiece of alternative theories. Something had exploded, but nothing had struck. The scientific explanation was an airburst. The object exploded before hitting the ground, like a nuclear bomb in the sky. But this explanation raised new questions. What kind of object? And why did it explode so high in the atmosphere? The lack of a crater became the foundation for the Tesla theory. If no meteor, then what? Perhaps something man-made? This is the logic that drives the conspiracy. Not evidence, but gaps in evidence. Questions without answers. Tesla was not a quiet man. He was famous for claiming credit for his inventions, for announcing breakthroughs, for telling the world what he had accomplished. Yet he never mentioned the Tunguska Event, not in his papers, not in his interviews, not in his voluminous correspondence. This silence is used both ways by different camps. Supporters say he was silenced by the government. Skeptics say there was nothing to silence. What we know is this. By 1908, Tesla's wireless tower was not operational. Funding had dried up, construction had stopped. The project was essentially dead. Could Tesla have conducted secret experiments? Some suggest he worked in isolation, funded by unknown sources, developing his death ray in secret. The theory also requires us to ignore Tesla's public statements. In interviews, he described his teleforce as a defensive weapon, a way to defend nations, not attack them. He never claimed it could cause destruction on the scale of Tunguska. The numbers he discussed were far smaller, a few miles, not hundreds. Another problem, the location. If Tesla wanted to test his device, why Siberia? Why not somewhere closer, somewhere he could observe? The distance from Long Island to Tunguska is over 5,000 miles. Even for a wireless device, this presents enormous challenges.
These are significant obstacles to the theory. But let's hear what supporters say in response.
Believers argue that Tesla's claims were always modest, that he downplayed his capabilities, that the death ray was far more powerful than he let on. Tesla's patents, still sealed at the time, have since been released. They describe devices of extraordinary capability. Some researchers have studied these patents and claim they contain principles capable of producing directed energy weapons. Others dispute this interpretation. The patents, they say, are descriptions of theoretical possibilities, not functional devices. What's not disputed is Tesla's ambition. He claimed he could split the Earth like an apple. Perhaps he thought he could. Hubris, they call it, the characteristic flaw of geniuses, and perhaps, say theorists, his fatal flaw. Tesla's death ray claims were always vague. He never provided technical specifications that could be verified. This vagueness has been interpreted as either secrecy or fabrication. Both interpretations are possible. What we know is that no working death ray was ever demonstrated. Not by Tesla, not by anyone. Tesla described his teleforce device in detail in 1934. He said it could generate a beam of particles capable of destroying aircraft. He claimed the beam could bring down a fleet of planes from 200 miles away, a defensive weapon of unprecedented power. But in 1908, Tesla had not yet made these claims public. He was working in secret, according to theorists. What if the Wardenclyffe Tower was not for transmitting messages, but for transmitting destruction? What if Tesla, desperate for a breakthrough, tested his device in secret? And what if the test went catastrophically wrong? The theory requires us to believe that Tesla built a weapon of 15 megaton capability in 1908, that he kept it secret, and that it was never used again. This is the problem with the theory. The physics simply do not support it. The energy required was beyond anything Tesla possessed. Tesla's most ambitious claims were for weapons of limited range. A few miles, not thousands. The numbers simply don't match. This is not opinion, it's engineering. The wireless transmission technology of 1908 could not have projected energy across 5,000 miles. But liiluntasiin liitsayuta the seducing. We want to believe Tesla could do the impossible. We want our geniuses to be superhuman, capable of anything, even destruction on a cosmic scale. The Tesla Tunguska theory has been explored in popular culture. Video games, novels, and films have all played with the idea. In the Assassin's Creed video game series, the Tunguska Event is depicted as a deliberate act by a secret organization, using Tesla's technology to eliminate enemies. This fictional treatment has, paradoxically, given the theory new life. Each dramatization introduces it to new audiences who may not know it's fiction. The appeal is obvious. Tesla was a genius. He claimed to have developed extraordinary weapons. The timing aligns. It's a great story. But great stories are not necessarily true, and the scientific evidence tells a different tale. Modern research has examined the site extensively. Scientists from around the world have analyzed soil, tree rings, and atmospheric data. What they've found supports the meteor theory. The evidence is consistent with a cosmic object entering the atmosphere and exploding. The Chelyabinsk meteor of 2013 provided a modern comparison. That event, also caused by an airburst, looked remarkably like what happened in 1908. We have seen meteor airbursts. We have documented them. They leave similar marks to what was found at Tunguska.
The scientific consensus is clear. But let's be fair. The Tesla theory persists because it's fascinating. Let's examine why people want to believe it.
Tesla represents something to many people. A brilliant mind, perhaps held back by established powers, a visionary whose discoveries were suppressed. The Assassin's Creed depiction is just one example. Films, novels, and comic books have all explored the connection. Each telling adds new layers. Each fictional treatment makes the theory seem more real. This is the danger of good stories. They can become more real than reality itself. But the appeal is understandable. Tesla was extraordinary. His inventions changed the world. His death ray would have changed it more. We want our heroes to be superhuman, capable of anything, even destruction on a continental scale. The Tesla Tunguska theory has been featured in numerous works of fiction, each adding new layers to the narrative. In the Assassin's Creed video game series, it is depicted as a deliberate attack using Tesla's technology. The fictional treatment presents the theory as established fact, giving viewers the impression it is more accepted than it is. This is the danger of good fiction. It blurs the line between story and reality. Novels, films, and television shows have all explored the connection. Each adds new details, new junju, new supporters. The appeal is obvious. Tesla was a fascinating figure. His death ray captured the imagination, and the idea that he accidentally destroyed a forest is dramatic. We want our history to be exciting. We want our inventors to be superhuman. We want our past to be more interesting than it actually is. This is not unique to the Tesla theory. Every conspiracy theory offers something: meaning, drama, purpose. The truth, as always, is more mundane. But sometimes, the mundane truth is worth more than a good story. That's the tension at the heart of every conspiracy theory. The appeal of the story versus the evidence of reality. The appeal of the Tesla theory is part of a larger pattern. We want our history to be dramatic. We want behind-the-scenes explanations. A simple meteor airburst doesn't capture the imagination, but a secret weapon, a genius's hubris, a hidden agenda, that makes for a better story. This is not unique to Tesla. Many historical events have been reinterpreted through a conspiratorial lens. It makes us feel like we're in the know. The truth is often more interesting than the conspiracy. The Tunguska Event was a natural cosmic occurrence, one that could happen again at any time. That's actually more terrifying than a secret weapon, because we can't control nature, we can't negotiate with physics. The real lesson of Tunguska is this: we live in a universe that can strike us at any time, without warning, from any direction. This is not as dramatic as a Tesla death ray, but it's true. And sometimes the truth is more important than the story. The Tesla theory also says something about how we view inventors. We want them to be superhuman, capable of anything. Tesla was brilliant, but he was also human. He had failures, he had dreams that exceeded his resources. He was not a superhero.
Let's be clear about what the evidence actually shows. It's time for the facts.
This desire for dramatic history is not unique to our era. Humans have always told stories about secret powers and hidden causes. Ancient people saw gods in lightning. Medieval thinkers saw demons in comets. We see conspiracies in cosmic events. The pattern is always the same. We look for human causes, because human causes feel more knowable. Random cosmic events are terrifying, because they are random. Conspiracies are less terrifying because they have causes we can understand. This is psychology, not physics, but it explains why these theories persist. We are pattern-seeking creatures. We look for explanations, for causes, for meaning in random events. A random cosmic event doesn't have the same emotional impact as a deliberate action. It doesn't give us someone to blame or admire. This is why conspiracy theories persist. Not because they are true, but because they are satisfying. The Tesla theory gives us a hero and a villain, a genius and a disaster, a story we can understand. The truth that it was a random cosmic event is harder to accept. There is no story, there is no meaning, there is only physics. But physics is the foundation of everything. And sometimes, the truth is more important than a good story. The Tunguska Event happened because a rock from space happened to intersect Earth's orbit at the wrong time. It's a reminder that the universe is not designed for our comfort. It is vast, indifferent, and potentially dangerous. That's a harder truth than a secret weapon, but it's the truth, and understanding it helps us prepare for the future. Because another Tunguska event will happen. We can't stop it, but we can understand it. The scientific consensus on the Tunguska event is overwhelming. It was caused by a meteor or comet exploding in the atmosphere. This is not a theory, it's not a guess. It's the conclusion of decades of research by scientists around the world. The evidence is clear. The object was cosmic in origin. It entered Earth's atmosphere at high speed. It exploded due to atmospheric pressure. The explosion pattern, the absence of a crater, the tektites, the iridium layer, all of this points to a natural cosmic event. Tesla's technology in 1908 could not have produced an explosion of 15 megatons. His most ambitious claims were for weapons of a few miles range. The wireless transmission technology of the era, even at its most advanced, was not capable of projecting destructive energy across 5,000 miles. This is physics, not opinion. The engineering simply did not exist. Tesla was a genius, but he could not break the laws of nature. The timing is also telling. The Wardenclyffe Tower was not operational in 1908. Tesla had moved on to other projects. His financing had collapsed. His attention had shifted. There is no evidence he was conducting the kind of experiments the theory suggests.
This is the evidence. It's clear. But we should address why the theory persists and why it's worth treating respectfully.
The Tesla-Tunguska theory persists because it's a good story, because it makes history more dramatic, because it makes us feel like there's more to the world than we see. The meteor theory has been tested repeatedly. Each test confirms the original conclusion. Computer simulations show exactly how a stony object of that size would behave in the atmosphere. The match is exact. The Chelyabinsk event of 2013 provided real-time validation. The same pattern, the same explosion, the same absence of a crater. We have now documented multiple meteor airbursts. They are not rare, they are simply usually small. The Tunguska event was simply a larger example of a common phenomenon. The electrical requirements for creating a 15-megaton explosion are staggering. Even a nuclear reactor couldn't produce that. Tesla's devices ran on electricity. They could not have generated the energy required, not without a source far beyond anything he possessed. This is physics, not opinion. The energy required simply did not exist in any device Tesla built. The scientific consensus is not based on opinion. It's based on evidence, decades of evidence, gathered by researchers around the world. The object was cosmic in origin. Its trajectory, its composition, its effects, all point to a natural event. The meteor theory has been tested and retested. Each test confirms the original conclusion. Computer simulations show exactly how a stony object of that size would behave in the atmosphere. The match is exact. The Chelyabinsk event of 2013 provided real-time validation. A similar object, similar size, similar trajectory. That event injured over 1,500 people. It shattered windows across a wide area, and it confirmed the Tunguska model. We have now documented multiple meteor airbursts. They are not rare. They happen regularly. Most are small, causing little damage, but occasionally we get one like Tunguska or Chelyabinsk. The evidence is clear. It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of physics. Tesla's devices could not have produced this event. The engineering simply doesn't support it. There's something appealing about the idea that a genius could change history with a single experiment, that secrets lurk behind ordinary events. We want to believe that the world is more mysterious than it appears, that there's a hidden layer of reality just beneath the surface. The Tesla theory gives us that. It makes the Tunguska event more than a random cosmic occurrence. It makes it meaningful. But here's the thing, the actual event is equally fascinating. A cosmic object tens of meters across entered Earth's atmosphere and detonated with the force of a nuclear weapon. This happens. It has happened before. It will happen again. And we're only now beginning to track these objects. The real story of Tunguska is a reminder of our vulnerability, of how little we control, of how vast the universe is. That's not as dramatic as a secret weapon, but it's true. And truth, in the end, is more important than good stories. The Tesla-Tunguska connection will likely persist. It appears in fiction, in documentaries, in internet discussions. It satisfies something in us. That's okay. We can enjoy the theory while acknowledging it's not true. Not everything needs to be a battle between belief and disbelief.
The legacy of this theory is that it makes us think, it makes us question, and that's not always a bad thing.
What matters is that we eventually arrive at the truth, not to dismiss the appeal of the mystery, but to understand what actually happened. The theory also fits a broader narrative, the suppression of Tesla's genius by powerful interests. J.P. Morgan is often cast as the villain, pulling funding when Tesla threatened oil interests. It's a compelling villain. In this narrative, Tesla's death ray was suppressed because it would have disrupted the established order, and when it was tested, the destruction was hidden. This story has everything: genius, conspiracy, suppression, disaster. It's almost too perfect. And that's often a sign that it's too good to be true. In 2020, scientists proposed a new theory linking the Tunguska object to comet Encke, still a natural explanation. The theory connects the event to an annual meteor shower, the Beta Taurids. It's still being tested. But it's a natural explanation, not a conspiracy, and that's what the evidence supports. The legacy of the Tesla-Tunguska theory is complex. It has created interest in both Tesla and in the actual event. Many people who first heard about Tunguska through the conspiracy learned about the real event. That's something. But the theory also spreads misinformation. It makes the truth harder to find. It makes people question science. The key is to appreciate the appeal while rejecting the conclusions. We can enjoy the mystery without accepting the theory. This is intellectual maturity, holding two ideas in tension. The story is compelling. The story is not true. Both things can be true at once, and in this case, they must be. The truth about Tunguska is remarkable enough, a cosmic impact that changed a landscape forever. It doesn't need a conspiracy to be interesting. It is interesting on its own. That's the real legacy of a conspiracy. It distracts from the real wonder of what happened. The truth is stranger than fiction. It just doesn't feel that way. So what really happened at Tunguska? The scientific consensus is clear. It was a cosmic event, an asteroid or comet, roughly 50 to 60 meters wide, entering Earth's atmosphere. It broke apart due to atmospheric pressure. It exploded roughly 5 miles above the surface. The blast released energy equivalent to 15 megatons of TNT. This is not speculation. It's the conclusion of over a century of research. It's what the evidence shows. Nikola Tesla did not cause the Tunguska event. His technology was not capable of such destruction. There is no evidence he was even attempting such an experiment. The theory persists because it's compelling, because Tesla was a fascinating figure, because we want our history to be more dramatic than it sometimes is. That's understandable, and we can enjoy a good theory while also acknowledging it's not true. The real Tunguska event is remarkable enough, a cosmic impact witnessed by few, understood by fewer, that changed a landscape forever. It could happen again. In fact, scientists estimate objects of this size hit Earth roughly every few hundred years. We're due for another. Perhaps that's the real lesson. Not that Tesla was secretly weaponizing the sky, but that the sky itself is dangerous, unpredictable, vast. The truth may not be as dramatic as the conspiracy, but it's true, and in the end, that's what matters. The forests of Tunguska have grown back, the scar has healed, but the memory remains, a reminder of the power of the cosmos. Not a Tesla experiment, not a secret weapon, just physics, just nature, just the universe doing what it does.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the Tesla-Tunguska theory. We hope we handled it fairly, presenting both the intrigue and the reality. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe and drop a review. It really helps the show. Next time, another journey into the unexplained. See you then.
We can appreciate the theory's appeal without accepting its truth. That's the intellectual position. The conspiracy is more entertaining than the reality, but the reality is more meaningful than the conspiracy. What happened at Tunguska was a natural cosmic event. It will happen again, and we will face it, as we always have, with science and observation. The truth may not be as dramatic as the myth, but it's the truth, and it's worth knowing. Thanks for exploring this theory with us. We hope we presented it fairly, even as we reveal the actual explanation. The sky over Tunguska is quiet now, but in 1908 it burned. What fell that day was not a death ray, it was not a weapon, it was the cosmos itself, reminding us of its presence. That's strange enough. That doesn't need a conspiracy to explain. So let's be clear about what the evidence actually shows. Let's end with the facts. The Tunguska event was caused by a stony asteroid or comet, roughly 50 to 60 meters in diameter. It entered Earth's atmosphere at high speed, probably around 15 kilometers per second. Atmospheric pressure caused it to break apart and explode roughly 5 to 10 kilometers above the surface. The explosion released energy equivalent to 15 megatons of TNT. This is not speculation, it's physics. Nikola Tesla did not cause this event. His technology was not capable of such destruction. There is no evidence he was even attempting such an experiment. The theory persists because it's a good story, because we want our history to be dramatic, because we want our heroes to be superhuman. We can appreciate that appeal while also acknowledging it's not true. Both things can coexist. The real Tunguska event is remarkable. A cosmic object, tens of meters across, entering Earth's atmosphere and detonating with the force of a nuclear weapon. This happens, it has happened before, it will happen again, and we're only now beginning to track these objects. Perhaps that's the real lesson, not that Tesla was secretly weaponizing the sky, but that the sky itself is dangerous. That's not as dramatic as a secret weapon, but it's true, and in the end, the truth is more important than a good story. The forests of Tunguska have grown back, the scar has healed, but the memory remains. Not a Tesla experiment, not a secret weapon, just physics, just nature, just the universe doing what it does. The truth may not be as dramatic as the conspiracy, but it's true, and that's what matters.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the Tesla-Tunguska theory. We hope we handled it fairly. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe and drop a review. It really helps the show. Next time, another journey into the unexplained. See you then.